Hello there. Today we're going to be creating bamboo in Blender. What you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to set your X and Y to 0.5 and your Z to like 5 or 10 or 9 or whatever you want. This will just determine the height of the bamboo that you're making. I'm going to set mine to 9. Next, you're going to want to go into Tab, turn on this little bit right here, then go to this part right here, press R, down here, R, and you can get something like that. That's one way of doing it. Or you can use the knife tool and just create cuts. And now the type of cuts you're going to want to do look sort of like this. But instead of making them as haphazardly as this, I'll quickly just rewind this to show you. You're going to want to make them more precise. Now what this does is then by allowing you to create cuts like that. Okay, so the way that I'm going to be doing it for this video is I'm going to be using this tool, which is the loop cut, so that way you can just have full cuts. And one really easy shortcut is press Command R8 and then just placing that down like that. And then using option clicks, you're able to then add in all the detail, which is going to be just little bits like this. Okay then, so after going around and creating loop cuts and then adjusting the rotation and scale to create this shape, I forgot a bit right here, give me one sec. So what you're then going to be doing after that is going to be selecting this top bit in the full face tab, and you can either click on bevel or press Command B. There we go. So it's Command B, and then you're going to select this interface right here, and then just move it down by pressing the E button. And what this does is it creates this little bit at the top. So now we have our basic bamboo. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to be coloring it. So first you're going to want to go over to this part right here, or this part, it's up to you. Create a new color, lower your value, so it's at like about 0.1, and then change it over to green. What this does is it gives you this really nice, really good green. Then we're going to be pressing 3, option, and then we're just shift, and then we're just going to be clicking these top faces as we move our way down. Of course, if you want to add some extra detail before that, you can go to the second tab and just click all of these bits, and then use the same bevel tool. What this does is it creates a bit more detail for your bamboo and makes these bits a bit smoother if my device wouldn't change the selection. So just, yeah, press Command B, add in some small bevels. See that? See how much smoother that is? Now just go back to this, we can go back and we can press Shift Option. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and done. And then what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be pressing this little plus button up in the corner, which creates a new color, and then pressing a sign, which assigns that new color to all these little bits right here. This color is going to be a bit more of a yellow hue. So now you get to see this, which is going to be your new shade for the bamboo. And so, ta-da! This is your bamboo now, but you can leave it like this if you want to keep it bland and boring. I'm going to quickly rename this to bamboo. And then I'm going to hide it, because now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding mesh plane, tab 1, shift click off that, X vertices, going over to this, selecting this tool right here, G, moving this over to here, deselecting this, then pressing E, to get a bit of a branch. I'm selecting this, pressing add mesh tab back into this, add cylinder, going over this, scaling this way down, rotating this over to this part right here, and then moving it over to here before going to rotating this so that way it's over on this part right here, scaling this down a lot more, then selecting this face and going to E, rotate a bit, E, rotate a bit, E, Z, rotate a bit, E, Z, rotate a bit, E, Z, rotate a bit, E, and Z, E, Z, bring it all the way down to this end bit right here, leaving us with this sort of branch. Now we can go back into this, and we can just press Option on these bits, and don't forget to press Shift like I did, and then pressing R, G, just to be able to bring it down to about here. Now we have this little branch right here, which if we move it over to our bamboo, we'll bring it and make it so that way this little bit right here becomes an off branch. So that way we end up with these bamboo bits. Now we can select all, and we can select all on this. We can merge them into a new collection that we're just going to call 1. Now hide this one, go back to collection initial, add a new mesh, which is going to be a plane. Then going into 1, we can press E and just scale this around, or move it around, in order to then get over to this sort of shape right here, which is going to be our leaf. So ta-da, we now have a leaf. Now we're then going to create a new color by going into shading, create new. We're going to then delete this bit right here, add a color, if I could spell color, a color ramp. Now we're then going to link this color part here over to surface, go to Z, increase these both by a little bit, change this to be a darker green, change this to be lighter green. So you currently have this, and this isn't really what you want. So you're going to want to add a separate XYZ, and then add input a texture coordinate. Now for this, taking the separate XYZ over to here, color to surface, you can then press like Y to this, or you can use X to this, or Z to this. And by going up to here, you can then select gradient to vector, which then allows you to change certain things till we eventually get this. Now you're going to want to have this part be pretty low, this part be about there. So ta-da! This is what you want. You can see we got our leaf. So now adding back the bamboo. If you don't want these bits, you don't have to have them, you can just hide them. But we now simply have to scale this down to that here, move it over to these bits, because what's a good plant without some leaves? So we're now just going to be putting these all around, and if you really want, once again, you can just move the little tip bits right here over to about here, so that way it's easier to move and mess around with them. Does this make sense? I hope it makes sense. So we just gotta copy, paste it all around like this. And so what this does is it makes the bamboo seem a lot more like an actual plant. And if you want, you can add back these little planes right here. Don't forget to go over to this part right here. Give them, you can go cut material 0.6, which is the same material as these leaves. Or you can go to material 0.1, which is the same material as this branch. Or you can go over to material 0.2, which is the same as that, and so on, and so forth. I'm just going to be using material 0.1. Now you're just going to be bringing all of these back, doing the same thing for them, giving them material, the same material that you want for all of them, so that way they'll have the same sort of cohesive color, and then moving these bits over to here, so that way you can then have wonderful little branches coming out of your bamboo. And don't forget that a very valuable thing to add when making branches is a little leaf at the end. Let's just do that real quick. Now this, you can see that you have some bamboo starting to take shape. You can see as it comes together. If you don't really like how this one looks, you can change it to be a bit darker or lighter. It's up to you. But then you're just going to be doing this for all of them all around, so have fun. And if you don't want to have to go and individually painstakingly add in all the leaves, you can simply delete these. Select all of this. Command C, Command V, R, G, R, G, S, G, Y, G, R, G. Rotate your camera a bit. And boom. You got another one and another place. So you're just going to be copying and pasting this all around. And if you want, you can go and you can hide your bamboo. So that way, you can hide these 4 leaves. So that way, please ignore the clanking in the background. That is the pipes. So that way, you can then select all of this, Command C, Command V, R, G, over to this part right here. G to move them down. And it makes sense if, as you get to the top, your branches become smaller, because that's how plants grow. And then scale this one up a bit. You can scale this one up a lot. And go down. You can bring your bamboo back into the picture. And then just gotta do some fine tuning and adjustments for these, such as making sure that the bamboo, its branches all come out of these segments right here. So you're just going to make as well as all of its leaves. So just you want to do that so that way your bamboo looks partially correct when it comes to how they're actually built. Then if you really want, you can take this top bit, you can press S, 3, Option, Shift, this, that, Z, then scale this into more of a singular point at the top, or you can just leave it as it is. That is up to you. But yeah, there you go. You got some bamboo and Blender. You can take this, you can add more to it. I'm just gonna mess around with it as a video pops up on screen, because if you like this video, then you're probably gonna like the video that's popping up right now, which is on how to create cherry blossoms that are scientifically inaccurate, but look cool. And so, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please consider subscribing, and I will see you in a future video. Goodbye.